Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the books Truth Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate, as well as Theta-Waves Meditation. And I'll put links to my books below. This video is about what may be the most attractive personality trait in a long-term romantic partner. People often discuss what makes someone very magnetic, why we are drawn to them. But I think that we often just look at the superficial aspects. For example, the person may be physically attractive, see different genders or different cultures. There might be traits that people are looking for in a long-term partner. But I think there's something deeper that we need to explore. Interesting enough, around 2003, I watched this movie that explored this idea of what makes someone magnetic. And I have some notes on screen, so I'm going to read the synopsis of that movie titled Girl with a Pearl Earring. So when her father goes blind, Greet, which is Scarlett Johansson, must go to work as a maid for painter Johannes Vermeer, who's played by Colin Firth. While cleaning the house, Greet strikes up an unlikely friendship with Vermeer, which both agree to keep secret for fear of provoking the painter's jealous wife. And then the wife's name is Katerina, played by Essie Davis. When wealthy patron, played by Tom Wilkinson, begins to lust after Greet and commissions a painting of her, Vermeer and Greet are obliged to spend long hours alone together. This movie is based on the historical novel by the same name, so Girl with a Pearl Earring, written by Tracy Chevalier. So it came out in 1999 and it is set in 17th century Holland. The visuals, I mean, it was a very beautiful movie, very sensual. The outfits, the soundtrack, everything, the acting was really, I think, high caliber. But I think that what's really interesting about this movie is that the main character, played by Colin Firth, Vermeer, is very much a recluse. He is not understood by his family, his friends. I mean, yes, he's married to this lady. Her name is Katerina, and they have at least 4 or 5 children together. And so, in other words, the fact that you've been married to someone, you've had children, and obviously the wife is literate, but she doesn't understand his world. And even though on the surface, the character of the maid is very different from the master painter, but they can still understand each other at a deep level. Obviously, there's a difference in terms of him being a man, she's a woman. He is a well-known and respected painter. She is a poor, illiterate maid. The age difference as well, she's like in her late teens, he's like in his 40s. So everything should keep them apart, but interesting enough, she is the only one who's able to understand what drives him. So in other words, everyone has something that really defines who they are, and Vermeer in this case, he is a painter and his passion is for that art, and she's able to understand that. So and at the end of the movie, when the wife discovers that Vermeer has painted or the maid in a way that is very sensual, and so it actually points out to the connection between the maid and her husband. She's very jealous, and then the wife angrily asks Vermeer, like, what's going on between you and this maid, she's illiterate, and he says she understands. And this response from Vermeer probably points out to the most attractive trait in a long-term romantic partner. It has to do with someone who really understands you at a deep level. And that's why I emphasize so much in this channel that really like attract like. So you want someone whose brain type is very similar to yours. So either it's your type or the introvert or extrovert version of that type. And that's why as well, you want to see someone who is right brain dominant, who will say that someone who's left brain dominant is their soulmate, because someone who is People-oriented will not see the world the same way as someone who is object-oriented. So really what we want ultimately is to feel that we are one with that person, that we can rely on them, because if we don't feel that the person sees the world through our eyes, we don't feel safe. We cannot really open up to them. Maybe you can't even like speak your truth. If a basic emotional, spiritual, intellectual need is not being met within the union, the person will have to go outside to get this nourishment somewhere else. And that actually opens the door to, let's say, someone having an affair, or even a person ultimately leaving the relationship and, go their separate ways. The other aspect also has to do with a sense of safety, especially when it comes to the woman. Most women feel vulnerable, and if, let's say, they don't feel that their mates can actually understand them, they don't feel that they can really open up. There are different aspects when it comes to a sense of safety. You want to know that the person has goodwill, and the person has the discernment to give you what you need and not hurt you inadvertently, because that's the aspect, that you cannot find someone who is who's honest and has goodwill, but doesn't have either the intellect or the discernment to actually meet your needs. Because even when it comes to intelligence, there are different types of intelligence. So in other words, you have a person who is object oriented or people oriented, and their behavior will be very different long term in a relationship, that especially when you have to add other aspects. For example, if you have children, if you have in-laws, you have to deal with maybe work commitments and all types of challenges. So you want someone who's on the same page. So that's why I find that this movie, Girl with a Pearl Earring, really gets to the heart of why a person may not be the right mate. And we know it right away, because if, let's say, you cannot say that your mate is your best friend, there is a problem. And I know that people will argue otherwise, but the aspect is that if, let's say, someone else is able to meet that need, you will be drawn to that person. And it's inevitable. It is really a natural law. So like attract like. So that's why I say to people, it's so important to know yourself and choose a person whose brain types is the same as yours or similar. Even in terms of like IQ, again, if a person doesn't have a minimum level of IQ, they may not be able to understand certain concepts and ideas, and you will not feel safe. And when you think about it, if you're merging your life with another person, you want to make sure that, yes, it is the right person, and you can grow together and feel that this other person can see the world through your eyes. And I would really encourage people to watch the movie Girl with a Pearl Earring, because I think it's really well done, and it really captures that essence of, okay, someone who really understands what you're passionate about and what makes you really tick. So let me know what you think about the content of this video by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Also remember to click on the channel to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.